Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined as always by DJ and Jason, and I'll let everyone know it's been a little bit of a musical episode so far. I know you think that someone cursed right there, and that's why you heard that beer crack, but no, I think Jason actually just cracked a beer. And is now pouring and sipping on a beer. Okay, we're off and running. Welcome to Brainstorm Brewery, everybody. Sponsored proudly by Channel Fireball. Shout out to them. Remember, any of the cards we talk about today, any of the picks or breaking bulks or anything that you're interested in picking up, you can do so at channelfireball.com. You can also check out a lot of cool content there and participate in the buy list giveaways that they're doing all throughout this month. So go ahead and check out that website if you want to support them in this podcast. So everybody, welcome in. We've got a lot to talk about this week. There's a banned and restricted announcement. There is
the first
a companion
Boros card to ever be banned. The first two Boros cards to ever be banned in constructed formats.
Is that how we're looking at it?
The first card to be banned in Vintage since before DJ was alive.
That is literally
no, they banned
true.
conspiracies, didn't they? Or
I guess technically, yes, conspiracies were banned. Sure. But for those who don't know, we will start there. Legacy and Vintage. Luris has been banned. Zerda, the Dawnwaker, also banned in Legacy. That one, a little bit more of a surprise, but I guess they had data that showed this is going to be broken.
Well, it turns
even if
out
it's not yet.
Grim Monolith went up because Zerda allowed it to make infinite mana and not because CDH is having a moment.
I have a foil Grim Monolith in my binder. I'm all about that card getting played, but it will not be played with Luris
Didn't
anymore
you
in
have a
Legacy.
foil Grim Monolith in your Canadian Highlander deck?
No, I didn't. Thanks for bringing that one up, though.
No problem, man. Hey, for those who have been listening to this podcast for a while, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you want to hear the after hours, go ahead and give us $20 a month at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. And hey, Corbin lost a Canadian Highlander deck that was...
No, he didn't lose it. It was stolen.
Because
you,
he
DJ.
left it somewhere.
It was stolen out from beneath my fever-riddled brain. I was at a hotel and I got the flu the last day of a pro tour, and it was stolen out from under my nose in the hotel lobby. So don't let that happen to you. It was only worth about $4,000. Could have been worse.
Oh, well, if you think about it, on the bright side, it was only $4,000 then. It's probably like $8,000 now.
I did think about that, yeah. I did literally claim it as a write-off on my taxes, though, as stolen property. So, hey, got something going for it. Anyways, back to the ban list. Also joining the ban list in the format I know everyone cares so much about, Drannith, Magistrate, and Winota join our forces, banned in Brawl. Y'all been playing a lot of Brawl?
I've been playing Legends of Runeterra, which is like Brawl but better.
I actually do play a little bit of Brawl on Arena, and it is true that Winota was pretty ridiculous in that format. It was just an extremely powerful commander. You just stack your deck full of things that trigger it. It was neat. But let's talk about Luris, though. I mean, the card is insane. The card has, like Jason said, it's the first ban in Vintage, and who knows how long outside of, I guess, conspiracies, things that were banned off the bat. But it's pretty ridiculous. I also
banned
think
in a format where Black Lotus is legal. Just let that sink in, right? Like Black Lotus it's pretty good. It's good if you have it in your opening hand, I guess. But 2/2 lifelinker.
Yeah, this is all. It's pretty nuts. I mean, and this is Yorion has been all over the place. Look, we have some early data, and that early data said that companions were something like 70+% of the entire 5.0 metagame of Legacy, Standard, and Pioneer, and it was only 60% in Modern. But this is just ridiculous. So all of this prompted this from Mark Rosewater. Someone asked about this. The ban and restricted announcement included this line. If we see signs of long-term health issues resulting from high metagame share of companion decks, we're willing to take steps up to or including changing how the companion mechanic works. Rosewater says...
Is that Rosewater that posted the article? I thought it's some...
No. I quoted the ban and restricted article, and now Rosewater is replying to somebody saying, hey, please don't do this. Rosewater said, companion is having ripples throughout almost all of the constructed formats in a way no singular mechanic ever has. It might call for special action.
How would
you guys want special action?
What special action would they even do?
Well, I mean, they say up to and including changing how the mechanic works. I know that my preferred solution would be no change to the mechanic in terms of how it plays once you start interacting with it. But I think that you should have to have a lower hand size, right? I think that's you may choose as part of the pregame where you set it aside and declare your companion. I think you should also start with a 6-card hand.
Is that even like enough of a downside though?
No.
I think so. No, but I think that's fair, right? Because right now, the problem when they talk about metagame shares and all of this is that there are so many decks in these older formats that didn't have to do much. They just added some more cards to put in Yorion, or they didn't change anything at all to put in Luris. And there's all these different things. There's people playing Gigantha just because I played against Storm Gigantha. Just because they can, because none of those cards have double mana cost.
Colossal Pete or whatever.
It's just stupid, right? So that would be, I think that actually making it be a decision, a meaningful decision that people have to make in terms of whether, they want to start with it or not. There needs to be a trade-off for that consistency. And right now there's not. And look, I understand that, sure, maybe we can just ban a couple of these and move on. But the reality is, I mean, those metagame stats were disgusting. So you're either going to have to start banning Luris across all formats, in addition to Yorion, if your goal is to not have companions be half of every format. So I would rather see a much more base level change, I guess, because I actually enjoy companions. I think they're fun. But
that's amazing for them to try to make standard into EDH and accidentally make it into Vanguard.
That was a throwback right there. No one knows what Vanguard is, Jason.
People know what Vanguard is. So
Polls
for those
at
who
home.
don't know, it was like the Weatherlight era, where around when Tempest was around. They had these oversized cards that had a change to your hand size and starting life total, and then it had an effect. So like the Sliver Queen one, you had the same amount of starting hand size and plus 8 life, and you could pay 3 to put a Sliver token into play. And like the Grieven one like reduced your hand size and life total, but like did other stuff. Like people built their decks around the Vanguard cards, and they were really fun, but it was only for casual.
I mean, there's some of them that are just straight broken too, right? Like, I think to say it doubles your land, like it's just like all your lands tap for double.
It was like -3 to your hand size or something like that. And it was still like totally worth it.
I mean, Vanguard is a super
cool.
cool.
Hang on,
Vanguard's a cool mechanic, right? Like if you think about other games, the whole this is the base rules of the game, but you get to choose an avatar that does different things. I mean, look at Hearthstone, right? It's sort of a basic example. The Hearthstone is the same, but depending on what class you choose, you have a different hero power. That's kind of what Vanguard was. It's actually neat. I mean, it's actually a cool game design thing. So I really do like the space they're playing with companions. It's just, I hate to just constantly harp on play design here, because the reality is a lot of those people are my friends, and I know that they're good at what they're doing, and I just have to question
whether they're good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
No, I have to question that where else it's coming from. They went and hired Pro Tour players. They went and hired the people who broke Eldrazi at Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch. They have all these platinum pros in the building. The problem is not
it is
talent.
to make balanced cards. They know how to break a metagame. They hired metagame breakers, and they broke every format. Like did it. Yeah. That's who you hired.
I have to say, if why can't they break these cards that the world is breaking in a week? It's absurd to suggest that nobody in play design said, hey, do you think Luris is good with Black Lotus? Hey, do you think Luris is good with LED? Like, it's just inconceivable that these conversations didn't happen, which means that it's a philosophical issue, right? That something holistically is wrong here, because it's not one card, it's not one mechanic, it's a year of this. It is literally a year, and they keep releasing stuff, and they keep banning stuff. Can anyone remember the last set that didn't have a card banned out of it?
Theros Beyond Death.
Nope.
No. That got a Underworld Breach banned.
It's not M20. That got cards banned. It's not Eldraine, that got cards banned.
Yeah, Eldraine had a lot of cards banned.
It's not War of the Spark. Actually, has War of the Spark had cards banned? They might not be banned. They're just terrible for Magic.
Well, Narset and Karn got messed up.
You're right. Karn got banned. Yeah, Karn caused the banning in Modern, as a matter of fact. Like,
now the BNR update is not an if, it's a when.
Ravnica Allegiance was the last standard set that did not cause a ban. This is a problem. I hope heads are rolling, and I hope it's not my friends, but either this is such a problem and heads need to roll and they need to fix it, or, and this is what concerns me more, and the one I think is actually more likely true. This is just what they've decided they're doing now. They've decided that bans are the price worth paying.
Like, after Eldraine came out, they said Eldraine is slightly higher than the power level we wanted to hit. And Eldraine had like 3 or 4 cards banned, so that means their number of
they
cards
only want to ban a couple.
Yeah.
You know what, DJ? That's a spicy take, but it might be correct. I don't know. I don't want them to stop. I agree with all the philosophical things about how when you're afraid to make mistakes, that's when your game dies, blah blah blah. I get all of it, and I like companions, but something's got to happen. This is it's just going on and on and on, and every week we have to talk about a new set that has got more cards banned, and it's just getting tiring. So let's move on from that. I hate being negative on this because I like Ikoria and I like companions, and I just want to see them fit into Magic in a healthier way. That's all. But it is interesting that they're willing to change the entire mechanic to figure it out. And also, now we want to get some conspiracy theory going on. I believe Rosewater also asked recently how people felt about the same mechanic being in repeat sets back to back. And the first reply was, you put companion in the next set, didn't you? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We will see.
I honestly, ever since I've been playing Runeterra, I've been doing a lot of thinking of just how Magic would be different as a card game if they had the ability to just buff and nerf cards like they do in every other game.
Yeah.
Just like Runeterra is just has so many more knobs to turn and so many more easily fixable solutions when cards are egregiously powerful, just because they can be. I mean, like, Hearthstone has existed, so this isn't like a new concept, but like it's just more in the forefront now, just because of how many cards have been banned in Magic recently, where it's like just thinking about what knobs you would turn to make cards more or less balanced. Like what knob do you turn on Oko to make it more balanced? Do you make it 5 mana? Do you make the starting loyalty like 2 or 3? Like it's just it's a lot of interesting conversations about like how you go back in time and just change those cards so that they are more like do you make Lurrus 5 or 6 mana? Do you just get rid of the lifelink and like make it a 1/1? Like it's just it's a lot of interesting like 10-hour car ride Magic conversations you can have about how do you fix this X card?
Yeah, and this is why I don't want to be too hard on play design. You know, when I say heads should roll, if this is, if someone's job was to balance these cards and they're coming out and they're getting banned everywhere, well then yeah, they messed up. But if the goal is to design at such a high power level that you continue exciting people about new stuff and then this happens, well, I want to be clear with people that I think it's more likely that that's the case. You know, I think that Wizards, they're designing and they're trying to balance around where the company has decided the line is. And that line does not fall to any individual member who may or may not be balancing these cards. But we have to keep in mind that these designers have the hardest job I don't know about in gaming. They have the hardest job.
Finish that sentence carefully.
They have the hardest game design job, I think. Because, like you said, they don't get to change stuff on the fly. They just have to live with it. But at the same time, they also have to keep exciting people about new stuff. I mean, more is being, and everything's broken so much more faster these days. Everything, what is being asked of them is not reasonable if you want to have new exciting sets with powerful cards all the time. Now, I think it's pretty clear that the balance has shifted too far, but I don't want to make it seem like these people are bad at their job or that this is something that Wizards sucks or doesn't care. They put a lot of resources into trying to fix this stuff, and we'll see where things go from here, but they have a tough job. I mean, imagine, like, Hearthstone had a deck with warriors with a warrior back in the day, where you could set up a combo on your last turn or whenever, once you had the cards, that would just deal like 100 something damage. And in Hearthstone, you start with 30 life. And I remember watching one pro game where a guy knew that his opponent was going to do it, and they spent the entirety of the entire game trying to stop that one turn kill later in the game by like armoring up and gaining life and all of these things that wouldn't otherwise necessarily make sense. And they still lost to it. There was just no counterplay literally available to them. And you know what? If that had been Magic, it would have been banned. It would have been a big thing. We would have talked about it. We would have said, oh, how could you miss it? But it wasn't. It was Hearthstone. They changed a few lines of code and it was fixed and no one ever cared again. So it is really, really hard for Wizards to design Magic cards.
Did Hearthstone have that in every single set?
I don't know.
I mean, there are games that have had that in every single set.
Hearthstone's had a lot of problems, right? But Hearthstone has had their share of balance issues, and they went out and hired Magic players to design their game too. Because
that's what Wizards did, and that didn't work in Magic either. I don't know why Hearthstone would do that.
That's a good point.
Hire some Yu-Gi-Oh players. Is like, this seems underpowered. It's like, yeah, but you're always going to have it in your opening hand because you cheat.
So I guess we'll see what they end up doing with companions, but we wanted to share that with everybody. I think it's a really interesting to have.
What Wizards do you think listens to this podcast? It's going to be like, oh, if you're too hard on play design, that's it. Corbin doesn't get to work for Wizards anymore. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not concerned about anything like that. Look,
their job is hard, but it is their job. Like, yeah,
you're right.
Nuclear technicians don't get to be like, but my job's so hard when like a reactor melts down. Well, we hired the people that worked at Chernobyl and then they melted down. I don't understand.
You know what though? That is a good point, Jason. I mean, I worry about being too negative to these people because you remember there are real people at the other end of this.
We can shit directly on them and still be more positive than any Magic community. We'll be nicer than Twitter, nicer than Reddit, nicer than Magic Facebook groups. And we can take a dump right on them and be like, you guys screw up a lot. So, you know what? Your job is hard and you're not great at it.
Okay. All right. All right, let's move on.
You're not terrible at it, but...
Before we move on, I actually have a giant pile of Vangaurd cards here, and I'd like to
share give us the greatest hits.
Some of the divergence and balance decisions between these.
Okay.
So one of these is Krovax, popular character from back in the Weatherlight Saga.
Why don't you read the stats, and then at the end I will try to guess which character it is.
Okay. So this one is starting max hand size -1, plus starting life 4, and your creatures cannot be the target of spells or abilities.
Oh, that's Krovax.
No, it's Airtie.
Ah,
come on,
cheating.
Jason.
I was cheating. That makes more sense for Airtie. He's a counterspell mage.
Starting max hand size -4, starting life plus 0. Starting life plus 0.
Okay.
Ability, draw an extra card during your draw phase.
Is that Sisse?
Nope.
Gerard.
Yes.
Nice.
Gerard is just draw an extra card every turn, but you only start with 3 cards in hand. But by turn 3, you've effectively recovered.
If those of you at home, like me, did not play Magic back then, I'm aware of Vanguards. I've seen some of them, blah, 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 but these characters, no clue what they are. All I know is if something's downside or upside involves your starting life total, it's probably not a very good downside or upside. Right? That's starting the most life malleable thing.
All right, starting life -5.
This card's going to be broken. That's what I'm saying.
Starting hand size +1.
Okay, sure.
Your spells cost 1 less.
Sure, for 5 life? Okay.
You know who this is, Jason?
Is that the one that's Sisse?
No, your spells cost 1 less, starting in max hand size +1, starting life -5.
Nicol Bolas.
Ash? Because they... Miri.
Urza. Mishra.
Who?
Hana,
okay.
The Weatherlight.
It's the crew of the Weatherlight. It's not going to be Mishra, dude.
Hey, dude, I don't know anything about these.
Mishra is a card, Jason.
Oh, they did 2 years, didn't they?
Yeah, come on, nerd.
There's Mishram, there's Orm, there's Selenia. My commander has one, Selenia.
There's Ashnod and Urza.
Selenia is +7 starting life. So based on Corbin's analysis, you know it might not be great.
Card sucks.
Starting in max hand size +1, so you do get an extra card in hand. All your creatures have vigilance.
That's not bad.
It's
great, but not
bad.
It's not all your stuff costs 1 less.
Nope.
It's not your lands tap for double. It's not draw an extra card every turn.
Nope. It is not. What did they make these for? How about that? Were these like a supplementary product, say Plane Chase or something? Or how did these even get made?
They were used for Arena. And so they sold them in like these box sets, and they're used for Arena play in the LGS.
You're gonna have to back up to those who, because when you say Arena, I say Arena came out 20 years after these.
So Arena was there was like a Magic League you could play at the LGS, and you would like get points, and you would get Arena promos for doing well. Like if you type in like Arena promo on a site like Channel Fireball, there's cards that are like, it's like the weird Fireball art and the Dissipate art and stuff like that. Like
there's lands too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those. I got some.
You would have to drive to a physical location to play Magic the Gathering.
Weird.
Some people listening might not remember that.
But yeah, it was like a Magic League. All right, what else you got?
Starting in max hand size +3, starting life -4. Artifacts, creatures, and enchantments you control have flash.
That's pretty good.
Which also means, reminder, you start with 10 cards in your hand. You don't discard. Like your max hand size and starting hand size is 10, but you start at 16 life.
I hear typing. Is that
Corbin's...
Baron?
No.
Baron Nashor?
Baron has his card ability, which is sacrificing permanents to bounce creatures.
I just kind of want to play this
card
now.
got a legendary creature in C18.
You know what? These are for Arena while Jason thinks about this. You were right. They made these for Arena. I want to play with these on Arena. Wizards, I demand that I get to play Vanguard on Arena.
Can you read the ability again?
You may play artifact, creature, and enchantment spells anytime you can play an instant.
Tawnos.
Shimmer Mirror.
Yep, it's Tawnos.
There you go. That's the guy with the candles.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's got some really ornate candles. They're worth a lot.
Some of these give it away.
It's the candelabra, not the candles. Okay, well,
I don't know
do
the
an
difference.
easy one so I get it right for once.
Starting life +6, starting in max hand size +1. Each of your non-creature artifacts is also an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to casting cost.
Ooh, Karn.
There you go.
Oh, candelabra is worth money.
What?
I knew it was worth. Well, it's like 500. I knew it was worth money, but I haven't seen or heard or anything from that card in so many years. I didn't know where card. You could have told me it was $200 or $1,000. It's not like you ever see any to. But there you go. Everybody's $500.
This one is this is the last one before we move on. Starting life -8.
This card's busted.
Starting in max hand size +1. Whatever a creature damages you, destroy it.
Well, actually, this is the
is
most
that
fair.
Volrath?
Nope.
Is it No Mercy?
What's got the No Mercy ability?
Yawgmoth.
Ashnod.
It is Ashnod.
I looked it up.
Yawgmoth didn't get one.
I looked it up.
Okay.
It's Ashnod.
Okay, whatever. Sure. I believe you. That was kind of fun, actually.
12 life is not super useful, though, when your ability requires things to hate you.
No, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that one actually
is... I'm at 6, and your ball lightning goes to the graveyard.
Yeah, but what if, you gained life? Right? What if we just, put some life... What if we spent 1 mana and gained life? 8 life. Life goes on. That's a card. 1 mana gains you 8 life. So, that card's busted. Your Vanguard.
Well, I mean, Vanguard was a new way to play Magic. It was, it was a fun thing to do at Arena,
Yeah.
and I never
That's neat.
did it because I didn't have a ride in 1997.
What you were what, like 16? Did you not have your driver's license yet?
16. I was 13, sir. 16.
Did they not let 13-year-olds drive back then?
This is in Oklahoma where it's all dirt roads and you're driving your dad's truck because he's too drunk. Like,
I was gonna say, like, you can't take your tractor to the LGS in Michigan. Sorry.
I bet you can. I guarantee you someone drives a tractor to their LGS in Michigan.
Actually, the high school that I moved away from, so like the school I grew up at before I moved, they did have a take your tractor to work day because it was
wow.
or
DJ's
take your
a
tractor to
secret
high school day.
DJ's a secret farmer.
My school had that too because the school was in a cornfield, but like, I don't know, there weren't that many farmers.
Okay, my school didn't.
Okay, because you like didn't want to poor shame the people whose dads didn't have riding lawnmowers. I get it.
Yeah, that's it, man. I did go to a competition one time as a journalist for the FFA. Are you all familiar with the FFA?
The Fighting Association.
No, it is the Future Farmers of America.
That would have been my second guess.
Yep. I went to a competition where they were judging cows. I think I've probably told this story on the podcast before, but it might have been years.
You said you didn't have a terrible story.
They were judging... I always got terrible stories, man. They were judging cows. And I went there to cover that event. However, there's a twist. The kids, the FFA kids, were there judging cows. But it wasn't the cows that were up for competition. It was the kids and how well they judged the cow.
So you judged people judging kids judging cows?
No, I went as a journalist and wrote a story about the adults judging the kids who were judging the cows. Small town newspaper life, man.
Okay, preps.
that's right.
Isn't Oklahoma City the largest city in Oklahoma?
It is.
Okay.
This did not happen in Oklahoma City. This happened in a small town about half an hour away.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Let's jump into our new segment. It is time for Sudden Substitution.
It's the third week. It's not a new segment anymore. Get over it.
The third week's not new?
This could be someone's first time listening to the podcast. They'll be like, wow, they went into that one segment. Didn't really seem like they knew what they were doing. And those people should know that...
If they've made it this far, they know we don't know what we're doing.
Look, man, don't remind people to turn this cast off. You should be telling people to go to
conscious decision. Yeah.
Tell them to go to patreon.com/brainstorm brewery and they can give us $1 a month, which is 20 or 25 cents an episode. They can have access to the Discord where people in the Discord will be like, hey, that new segment's still finding its footing. And they'll be like, oh, okay, I was correct not to turn it off. So,
well, there you go. So everybody, welcome into Sudden Substitution. This is where we take a popular but expensive Commander staple and give you some budget options to replace it. So this week, we're going to talk about a pretty old one, a pretty pricey one, Vampiric Tutor. This is, of course, 1 mana, $75, instant speed. Search your library for a card, put it on top, then lose 2 life to set up your next draw step. So the card is very expensive anywhere you go. The newer versions are all over 100. So Vampiric Tutor, that's a tough one. How can we do better? We're looking for tutors that you can replace Vampiric Tutor with. So DJ, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Sure. This is a card that was actually recently printed and close to my heart. Scheming Symmetry from Magic Core Set 2020. And it is close enough to Vampiric Tutor in that it's 1 mana. It puts a card on top of your deck. Downside, it's not instant speed. And potential downside, potential upside, you get to pick somebody else who gets to put a card on top of their deck. I'm a Gaunty player. I have yet to find one of these in the wild that is damaged enough to be worth my while. But
okay.
I joyously await the day where I can cast this and just play that ultimate mind game with somebody, because I have Gaunty in my command zone and I could pick somebody, and if they pick a bad card, then maybe I'll just Gaunty somebody else.
Yeah.
If they pick a good card, maybe I'll Gonti them. Maybe they can pick a bad card and I'll Gonti them anyway. It's a very, very
But you
crazy
don't get to know
mind game.
you don't get to know what they get.
You got gone.
Right, which is part of the fun, which makes the person not, oh god, do I search for that Cyclonic Rift or not?
Yeah. I agree. That's actually pretty cool in Gonti. I like it.
So if you're just casually running things over with a chair,
DJ's looking for one. There you go. All right, I'll jump in next.
Scheming Symmetry is $2.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Not 100.
All right, I'll jump in next. I love this card originally from I believe Shadowmoor, Beseech the Queen. So you can pay 3 black mana for it, or you can pay 2 instead of one of those black symbols. You get to search your library for a card with converted mana costs less than or equal to the number of lands you control, put it into your hand. So sorcery speed, 3 mana, tutor. It does have to be black, but the good news is you can be a little flexible. If you have 2 black, you can play 2 black and then 2 colorless, 2 generic, and you get a tutor. So this is a really good card. I think a lot of times it's certainly not going to be worse than something like a Diabolic Tutor. And in the upsides, it's going to be a 3-mana Demonic Tutor. It's really great. So like this card a lot. I think more people should play it.
You're also always searching for something you can cast theoretically, which is nice.
Right. Yeah, because
you're very rarely searching for cards that you can't cast, right? With like Demonic Tutor or Vampiric. You're not like, it's turn 3, I better get my 7 drop, like unless it's some weird discardy reanimate shenanigans, but like Beseech the Queen, you're always getting something that you can theoretically cast.
Yeah, that's neat too. All right, Jason, what do you got?
Well, I have a card that, since I'm an EDH player, a card that doesn't really have as much of a downside in EDH, and its negative is actually kind of a positive. This card is Diabolic Intent. It was originally in Plane Shift, and it was, for about the last 5 years, it was cruising around at like $10, and then all of a sudden it got really expensive once people started being like, oh, well, as additional cost to play this card, you sack a creature? Well, I have a creature I want to sacrifice. So then it became a sack outlet plus a Demonic Tutor, and everyone was super into that. Diabolic Intent was reprinted in Battle Bond, and the price, plummeted to under $10. But it's back up around 20, so, it was a nice recovery for that. If you got in real cheap, you made some money. Or you just didn't spend what you have to spend now. And if you bought that Diabolic Intent for like $20 and you watched it go to 10, you're like, son of a, you watched it recover, so it's nice not to lose $10. I think a lot of people were happy with that reprinting. I like sets like Battle Bond where they take risks like that. I like tutors that have downsides that are actually upsides in EDH. And I like cards that recover their value.
All right, there you go, everybody. Sudden Substitution. All right, let's jump right on into our next segment here. We got a little bit of the...
Yeah, a card that gets a reprint and then, recovers their value. That kind of leads us right into our next segment, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Well, I'm looking at the card, the Locust God, which was reprinted in not the precon you would expect, but the other one. Locust God seems like it would be at home in the Teamer one, with all the Xyrus benefiting from all the wheels, but it's actually in the Jeskai one with all the...
Well, that's how you get people to buy all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I think if you put the Locust God in the one with like the $10 Xyrus and the $10 Calamax, it would be nuts. So the Locust God is a card that was, it got up to like $25 at some point, and now COVID kind of threw everything off, but like if it hadn't been for that being in a precon with like other cards, like a free counterspell, for example, would have really tanked the price on it. And everyone would have been like, oh, I paid $20 for the Locust God, and now it's $8. This sucks. And I think that's where a lot of EDH players kind of just are like, oh, well, it's this now. And then in 2 years, they're going to look at it as like, this is $23. When did that happen? I can't buy it now because it's $23. Because they pay attention to the card's price once every 3 years. If you're going to do that, you're going to miss out. But if you're going to check all the prices of cards that just got a reprinting and sort of keep an eye on them, go to a site like MTG Price, MTG Goldfish, a site that has graphs that track the price and you look at the shape of the graph, you're going to notice that it's going to fall off a cliff. There's going to be a real profound drop in the price. But you're going to see a nice U shape eventually when the card's price recovers. Now, not everything is going to recover. Some of the stuff where the price is predicated on scarcity, it's just going to fall off a cliff and be dead forever. But, stuff that doesn't get repeatedly reprinted, like Diabolic Intent, that's a nice U-shaped graph where the price, kind of went up as a result of getting played a little bit more, went right down just because of that reprinting, because there was way more supply, and then all of a sudden, all that supply dried up, and the demand stayed the same or increased, and all of a sudden, that price ticks right back up. So when you have a U-shaped graph, what you have is you have a price, you have an opportunity to buy at a way lower price, and then you have all the money you make because you bought at the lower price. So that U-shape on the graph is, the price going down and back up. If you pay attention to what the graph would look like when it's halfway through the U, you can kind of see when it starts to recover, that's when you want to buy. Because you can see where the bottom is just on the basis of where it starts to recover. If it's not reprinted again and it is played as much as it was before, when it starts to go up, something else would have to happen to make it go back down. So if nothing else does happen, when you start to see it go up, that's when you buy in, because you know that the price is going to recover. Something like Diabolic Intent, something like Austere Command, something like Black Market when they weren't reprinting it every year, Cryptghast, all this kind of stuff that's like played in a ton of EDH decks. It's over $10, gets cut in a half or in thirds on the basis of a reprinting. That kind of stuff is real hardy, and stuff that gets played a ton in EDH in a lot of different decks just shakes off reprints. So when it hits the bottom and starts to go back up, that's when you want to buy in. And I mean, that's to us what speculating is. We're not trying to guess. We know Austere Command is too cheap at $2 and it's going to hit 10 again. And that's exactly what happened.
And this is a thing we talk about, is how do you find these cards? You can't just check every card every day. But this is why we recommend MTG stocks, and we recommend specifically, this is what I like to do. Go to market price, set the differential that you need to see changed down to 25 cents. So you're going to see everything that moved by a quarter. Then go look at the cards that have moved over the past week and go all the way down to the bottom of the green ones where you see a card that's gone up 3% in the past week, 4% in the past week. And then those are your cards. You go look at them. And that's how you find the U-shaped curves. You see something that's bottomed out. You didn't have to try to predict the bottom. You just had to get the card when it was 98% of the way down rather than 100% of the way down, because you started to see it tick back up. And of course, there's going to be noise in that data. And sometimes, a card won't go anywhere, etc. But if you're looking for those U-shaped graphs that we know exist, that's how you find it. When we say wait for the bottom on stuff, that's what we mean. You can't just wait for the bottom. Doesn't mean I just am going to remember this card 9 months from now when it magically hits the bottom. It takes a little bit of work in keeping up with it, but that's how I find those cards. That's how you find those U-shaped graphs, and that's how you make what sort of is kind of, to put it bluntly, very easy money in this game.
I mean, it's not even like always a U-shape. Eventually, you get to notice patterns where it happens with the same card multiple times, or it just becomes like a heartbeat monitor.
Yep.
Where like Exotic Orchard is a very good example of this, where it's a card that came out forever ago in Conflux, and then it's been reprinted several times in like Commander products, conspiracies, plane chases, all these things. And every time it goes down to $1, then it goes back up to 2 or 3. Down to $1, back up to 2 or 3. So this most recent time when it was in a Commander 2019 deck, I bought like 1,000 of them for less than a quarter a piece. Yes, it got reprinted again into Commander 2020, which means that I just have to wait another year. As long as there is like a 12-month gap where it's not reprinted, I will eventually make money on this card. Because like it's like the second they stop hitting it with a hammer, it starts to grow back. It's just a weed, and you get to profit off that eventually.
I mean, I have to say, hitting weeds with hammer doesn't seem like a very effective way for stopping them from growing. So,
but you're not a farmer, so
it comes back.
That's true. You didn't even have a lawn tractor to drive to school. Now,
Jason, let's back up a little bit here. When I was a kid, I 100% drove a tractor. We had 4 acres, and my dad would stick my like 12-year-old self on that tractor and say, "Son, it's time to be a man," or whatever, and then I'd have to go mow 4 acres in a tractor.
And you'd say, "You're not my dad." You'd drive off on the tractor and go get drunk in the woods.
3 miles an hour. Yeah.
Come back here. Don't make me walk after. One resource I like to use is the EDH rec page for each set, because down at the bottom they'll list all the reprints in a set, and what's good about checking that page is because it has all the EDH rec data underneath it.
Yeah.
So if you go to EDH rec, pick sets in the drop down and click on C 2020, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see, most of the cards are reprints, but you'll start to see Soul Ring is in the largest percentage of eligible decks, and then it ranks it by percentage. So like these are the cards played in the largest percentage of eligible decks. So like Command Towers 2 cultivates 3. The Tri-lands are, way up top there. Reliquary Tower, Arcane Signet. So you start to look at stuff like that. It's like, is Bajuka Bog going to shrug off a reprint? Yeah, absolutely. It'll go to like 10 cents and it'll be back up to $2. You know, will Chaos Warp recover? Yeah, probably. Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah. Lightning Greaves. Sure. So you start to look at these cards that are played in a high percentage of eligible decks on EDH rec, and you realize that like the cheapest it's going to be is when people are busting all those decks and like the supply's there, but the demand's also there. If you pick high demand stuff, even a high supply is not going to satisfy all of that, because people who bust the precons usually build a deck and put that card in it. So even busting a lot of precons doesn't necessarily free up as many copies as you'd think.
Yeah. Certainly not at first. I mean, there's the delayed effect, right? Where eventually someone will sell those decks and then they will get put back into the market, blah, blah, blah. But it's got a very long tail, and it does not happen right away.
But if you have the opportunity to buy Skull Clamp for $1, you'd be an idiot not to.
Yeah. And that's what happens when they come out in the new sets. The new versions a lot of times are very cheap for whatever reason, and then they end up being worth more than the originals by the time it's all said and done anyways. It's just it's crazy.
And don't be someone checking prices in 2 years being like, when did that happen? Well, it happened at the same time frame it always happens. It was always going to happen that way, Yeah. So just, you don't have to pay attention to everything, but pick a card. Skull Clamp got reprinted. Solemn Simulacrum got reprinted. Windfall got reprinted. Propaganda.
I'm going to touch on one. My pick of the week when we get to that is going to be one that fits this bill exactly.
So reprintings are a good opportunity to make money. We in the finance game like reprintings. A lot of people think, oh, you greedy speculators got blown out, but like I will sell way more $3 copies of Solemn Simulacrum than I will $8. And as long as it's $3 and I can pay $1.50, good. And if I don't sell them because I'm super lazy and it goes up to $7 and I get 7 instead of 3, even better. So,
the Jason Alt method for speculation.
Yeah, well, the best time to sell Magic cards is never, and the best time to buy them is 1993. So
there you go. All right, let's jump into speaking of cards that you can pull out worth money that you just have sitting around. Breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
You have a song. Da, 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 da. I'll go first. I have a good one this week.
That wasn't the song.
Da, 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 da. I think that was the ESPN song, actually.
Breaking bulk. Breaking bulk.
I'm just so on withdrawal from sports that it's just creeping into my psyche. Anyways,
you don't even like the good sports, though.
I've got an uncommon from Theros, a white uncommon.
Glare of Heresy.
No.
Lockdown? Cast out?
Whatever you just said, no. I think you were trying to say Cast Out, which is from Mom and Ket, not Theros. I'm talking original Theros, white uncommon.
Theros. I don't remember any cards from that set.
Wow, did I actually stump you guys?
I'm thinking.
I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know I'd just get you stumped immediately.
I thought you'd pick Glare of Heresy for sure, because it's like a Pioneer thing.
The card I'm mentioning is also a Pioneer thing. It's a creature.
Is it the Phalanx guy?
It is not. Phalanx Leader, it is not. That is not a Pioneer card. This card costs 1 mana and is a Pioneer card.
It's uncommon?
Oh, Hopeful Eidolon.
Nope. Also not a Pioneer card.
Jeez. It's uncommon?
It sure is.
I might know it if you say it, but as of now, I cannot guess it.
All right.
Give me a second. No, I got nothing. Yoke Docks?
Favorite hoplite.
Favorite hoplite. Wow.
Oh, okay.
You got us.
Favorite
I did pick that
hoplite.
card, but
Favorite
I
hoplite is
cannot.
it's a 1/2 for 1. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, you put a counter on it, and prevent all damage to be dealt to it this turn. So there's a Boggles like deck in Pioneer. There's also, I mean, frankly, Luris in Pioneer makes putting your auras back on your favorite hoplites pretty good. So yeah,
Luris
this card
is still legal in Pioneer?
Your favorite
sure.
hoplites or your favorite hoplites, Corbin?
Well,
Or your
depends, man.
favorite hoplites?
I don't know if you don't like the hoplites you're playing.
I think the plural
you got a
is
problem. That's all I'm
hops-
saying.
Hops Light.
Hopslite, yeah.
Hops Light. Like Grand Prix, it's hop your favorite
Right.
Hops Light.
Right. Well, anyways, this card is sweet. It's about 60 cents and rising.
I thought Hops Light was the beer that Jason drinks.
I don't drink hoppy beers.
Justin, he doesn't drink the light beer either.
This
It's on
beer is
like Stout
11.
Life.
This is 11%.
That is not a light beer. All right. Why don't you jump in? Breaking bulk. Go.
Break a bulk. I got a card that did not get reprinted. Surprisingly.
Just go on.
Just ever?
Let me think. No, I think there's a promo of it. Yeah, there was a FNM promo foil.
Okay.
Okay.
What's
But
the
you-
set?
It was Onslaught.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
It's white, an uncommon from Onslaught.
Okay.
And
Astral
there's an
Slide?
FNM foil. Yeah, Astral
that's-
Slide.
Isn't that Scourge?
No,
Scourge?
it's Onslaught. It's
Scourge?
it's the mechanical spider,
Okay,
not the
yep,
skull.
You're right. Yeah.
It is true. It is indeed from Onslaught.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I know you brought it up on the internet to talk about how many times it was printed, but isn't DJ's memory a little bit better?
It was in a world championship deck.
DJ wasn't even alive when Onslaught was out. Get out of here.
This card has actually gotten
2002.
expensive recently thanks to the return of all the cycling cards.
I was
From-
in second grade, first grade ish. Second grade.
Oh, jeez. You don't remember
This
9/11.
this card blew up with Ikoria. All right, DJ, what do you got for Breaking Bulk?
All right. So last week I picked a equipment. If you'll remember,
Sure.
Yeah.
I picked.
When
I
you
picked
pick
an
this again in
equipment-
18 months, I'm going to nail it.
I picked an equipment for Meridan, and you guys seem to have trouble with that.
Oh,
We did, yes.
This time I
Up your
picked a
butt.
Darksteel equipment because that's
Oh.
a smaller set, so there's a little smaller card pool. And
Skull
it's
Clamp.
No,
Okay.
it's not Skull Clamp.
No one knows what's in Dark Steel.
Well, it's a
Steel?
Darksteel equipment that has never been reprinted.
What is the rarity?
Uncommon.
Uba Mask.
Darksteel. That's not.
That's
from
not an
that
equipment,
block.
not from Darksteel, not uncommon.
I did not play during Dark Steel.
Well, you didn't need to. This is just a solid commander card that I think you might play in a deck, Corbin.
Is it the Trident?
Okay. Let me try to think. It's from
It's never been
Mirrodin?
reprinted. It's sure strike.
From Mirrodin block from
It's a
Dark
Darksteel
Steel.
equipment that costs 2 and has never been reprinted.
Spectre Shroud.
There you go. Jason got it.
I do not play that card, but I am vaguely aware of that card. I'll tell you how this looks for me. What happens for me is when I get to Mirrodin, I know Mirrodin and Kamigawa, I know that lots of random stuff in those sets is worth money, so I pull it all and then I look it up. Spectre Shroud, though, I gotta say, the market price is 17 cents, DJ. Is this really a pick?
Yes.
What's
All
the
right.
buy list price?
I mean, it's gotta be a nickel.
I will pay you like 10 cents on this card.
Ooh, there you go, everybody.
You are getting a package in the mail.
At a GP.
Oh,
No such thing.
I can't mail these to you?
No such thing as a GP.
DJ's like, I'll give you 10 cents on Spectre Shroud. And then he gets to his mailbox. He's like, wow, this is a big package from Jason. I bet it's full of Spectre Shrouds. And it's just dog poop. Just
Yeah, they she just definitely set them
packed
up.
full. Just that dog ate some corn, clearly. Like, some of this might be human. Just packed to the brim. It's a flat rate box. I'm getting my money's worth, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
man, you should.
No,
All
but,
right.
Corbin's right. When it comes to old cards that have never been reprinted, especially if they are uncommon, just pick them because there's a good chance that you can just like list them on TCG Player at like 35 cents if you're a direct seller, and then you eventually get the sale.
Yeah,
Someone's
look,
like, I
see...
need 4 copies of Leonin Bola for my Bola deck.
Look, I don't see Darksteel regularly. I don't see Onslaught regularly. So, there's the obvious picks that I've internalized over the years. But then, I mean, I know that lots of random equipment and artifacts from Mirrodin Block are worth money. So you just pull them and you find it.
Bulk has
and
to
that's
be
how you
real
learn.
weird in Oklahoma. It's like, we don't have anything like before Kamigawa because the 700 Club was on it.
I don't get anything before like Innistrad.
People telling people that game was demonic and everyone's mother burned their cards until they were old enough to move out of the house. So we don't have any bulk from like the old border.
I mean, pretty much, man. I basically don't get anything before Innistrad, I think, around here. Return to Ravnica, that time period.
Ooh, wee.
All right, now it's time for our final segment of the week. It is Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
This
Reminder
is the
that
part. No. It's not our final segment because it's our first segment of the week for all the people who skipped to the end of the podcast.
You're right about that, DJ. So as a reminder to everybody, if you like any of the cards we're talking about, you can go to channelfireball.com to pick them up. Maybe with some of those Breaking Bolt cards you traded in. So I'll jump in first.
Store credit with your trade-ins. Buy the channels, buy the fireballs, combine them for a channel fireball. Remember, turn 1, you can channel fireball. If you play a format where Luris is banned, you can use a Black Lotus turn 1 to channel fireball. And I'm like, well, my Luris put me at 22 life, so you actually can't get me. And you're like, that's why this card is banned. Channel fireball, everybody. I don't know why I'm doing his voice. I don't know why I can't seem to stop. Get your channels, get your fireballs.
What else should people get, Jason? What's your pick of the week?
They should change the channel. I'm still doing the voice. I apologize, everybody. I tried to stop very hard. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with Idyllic Tutor only being $3.
Okay.
It's a tutor. It's idyllic. It reminds you of a time when things were better before this card was reprinted, and it was very expensive.
It was like $40, yeah.
The art depicts a very small person being reached at by a giant hand, which I hope does not awaken anything in me. Idyllic Tutor is one of those U-shaped graphs in the making. It's J-shaped now. It's not going to get cheaper than it is right now. People are done drafting this set. Buy the tutors.
All right, thanks for that, Jason.
I can't emphasize this enough. I want to stop doing the voice. I'm trying everything I can think of. This is my life now. I'm going to call my grandmother. She's going to be like, I don't know who this person is.
Speaking of U-shaped curves, I've got a reprint here, 10 years in the making, Leyline of Anticipation. This is a card we talked about a lot when it got reprinted back in M20. It was originally in M11. The card at one point was $20. It's been reprinted in Core Set 2020, and now it's $5. We've hit the bottom. It seems like the card has bottomed out. It's going to slowly climb. It's going to be $10 again at some point. I don't know if this will be a U-shaped curve necessarily, but there is going to be a little bit of a dip and a yeah. So the card is Leyline Anticipation, of course, being the blue Leyline 4 mana. You can cast spells as though they had flash. It's an I don't want to say auto include. It is included in a lot of commander decks. DJ, what do you got?
Rishkar's Expertise. It's time to go to bed.
Rishkar's Expertise is a good one.
I'm sorry, DJ. Are we boring you?
Corbin said he had a hard out. He really said, like, it was weird. He said, like, I've got a hard out. He really dragged out that first part, and I was like, okay, man, that's kind of weird.
That's what happened.
Well,
he's got a hard out. I've got a. It's gonna be a hard podcast to forget about.
So yeah, I just figured I'd try to speed it up because I know that's what Corbin's gonna go do with his hard out. And
all right.
What?
I like Rishkar's Expertise. It has already climbed quite a bit, but where do you see this card going, DJ? It's $5 right now.
Like 8 or 9 in the next 6 months.
It's in Commander Masters. I will bet money it's in Commander Masters.
I was gonna say, assuming it's not in Commander Legends, which is the the Commander draftable product that comes out at the end of this year.
The Commander Master set.
Yeah, assuming it's not in that, then it probably goes to 8 or 10. It's
card's
going to be
really
one
good.
of those recurring cards where they might hit it with a Commander product, and then you're going to start seeing that U or that heartbeat shaped graph where it just comes back every time because it's just a very powerful green spell that draws you a lot of cards.
It does. It does draw quite a bit, and I think it's the
I
fact that
drew
this card
2
is
with
self-contained.
it this weekend. I played
How did that feel for 6 mana?
It felt great because I got to play a free spell. I was like, this is
That's
super
right.
worth it.
That's what sets Rich Card's expertise apart. There's actually at this point a lot of these green draw cards equal to power creatures cards, but this is the only one that then is followed up with. By the way, you get to cast a card with CMC 5 or less
It's like
for free.
you play a 5 mana spell with a kicker that is 2 mana.
Of one because
Yeah.
it's only 6. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a kicker 1 mana, draw at least a card. Like,
I don't play this in my Mael deck, but I'm considering it. I always worry about it being a bit of a win.
I don't like
more.
drawing cards in Mail, per se.
Well, I just worry about it being a bit of a win more.
Because every time I draw a card in Mail, I'm like, sure wish that was still on top of my deck.
Yeah, exactly. Your
And you
hand's
activate
always 10 drops.
Mail and it's like signets, and you're like, ugh.
You whiff.
Yeah.
Yep. That is how it goes. All right. Well, there you go, everybody. Brainstorm Brewery. Thank you for listening. Now, there is one thing I'm going to do before we go here. This is something different. I didn't warn DJ and Jason about this, so it's just this is not a segment. This is just me. But I want to give some attention and credit to another content creator. I found this in the MTG Finance subreddit that Jason created back in the day, but a YouTube channel called MTG Investments, done by, I'm guessing a teenager, somebody who looks much younger than us, but they have their top 5 modern era specs. And I want to give them a shout out because we're not the only people who make finance content. And this is somebody who seemed to be very nervous in their videos. So maybe go say something nice. It's MTG Investments, top 5 modern era specs. But they have Foil Read the Bones, Foil Read the Mixture, Extended Art Foil, Return of the Wild Speaker, Colossus, and Blind Obedience foil. So pretty heavy lean onto the foils there. And, I just wanted to give them a shout out and give someone else their picks of the week right on the cast because we're not the only people who make content. And I want to use our platform responsibly to help out others. All right, everybody. That's Brainstorm Brewery for this week. Thank you so much for listening.
So
you can
hard
find
to get
us
out of this podcast, and we're just not letting him. We just keep cutting him off. Whatever take ends up being the one that gets us out of the cast. Just know it was the 47th.
We're not letting Corbin take his heart out.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. That's it for this week. You can find our content at youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery or on Patreon at Brainstorm Brewery as well. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.